Hey there. Um, it's been a little while, but I've been thinking and living life and learning and trying to put into practice the things I've talked about in the past. So, for a while now, my last video, I knew which message I needed to read next, but I didn't feel like I was ready for it yet. That there was something still hiding, something I was afraid of that I wasn't ready to face. But um, in my work with different groups and stuff, I heard someone talk about a fear inventory and had me thinking, like, what am I afraid of, right? Like, what is wrong with telling my truth, telling a story, telling my story um, to an audience, however big, whether there's anybody ever sees it or not? The concept of the idea, I think, is what's terrifying, right? That fear of the unknown. What can happen? What might come out of this? What is going to be the effect of this decision, right? Putting this out there in the atmosphere, putting it into the universe. Um, Now anybody can touch it. Now anybody can have it. But I think that's part of the act of sharing, is that you put things in the world that you might not realize affect you so badly and might think don't matter as much as what they really do. And experience is what drives us to be able to figure that stuff out. And the only way to really know is to do it and find out after the fact. Um, Action is what leads you to results, and inaction is just that, nothing. It is staying the same. It is not growing anymore. It's not learning anymore. It's not adventure. So today's message is one of the hardest messages I've had to actually contemplate. It was a major turning point in my life, and my life has never been the same since. But there's a reason for that, I think, and I'm slowly finding that reason and hoping I get to that conclusion. And maybe I never will, but that's part of the journey. That's where the faith portion comes in. You have to believe, you have to have faith, you have to trust the process. And trust is a very hard thing to come by in today's world. Honest, true trust. And I don't know you guys. I don't have any idea who I'm even talking to, but I trust you, and I feel like that's who needs to hear, right? If we keep all these things bottled up and hidden, then nobody can grow, nobody can learn, nobody can benefit from the experiences that you've gone through, right? And people might not even understand, and people might scoff and push it away, but that's their thing. Not Doesn't have to be yours necessarily. So this word has been very big lately. It's I titled this one "Give In," but the better word for it is surrender. So I'm gonna read it, and I don't know what's gonna happen. Sometimes I have a physical reaction, and sometimes I'm okay, but we'll find out. So surrender. I want to start with the word truth. It is a noun, the quality or a state of being true. What is true? This is not the definition that I thought I would find. True, in accordance or consistent with reality, genuine, rightly, or strictly so called. What is true or truth to you then? Have you ever considered your own definition? How can you ensure what you are told is factual, reasonable, or even plausible? Truth is a fickle thing. One instance of a lie, and my personal trust evaporates entirely. To me, to find truth, it should be easily repeated and found, proven simply and absolutely. I have a favorite example. Now, if I told you the knife on my belt was sharp enough to shave the hair from my knuckles, how do you know it is true? You can trust me, sure. You can take my word for it. Heck, you can even outright dismiss and say it doesn't matter. But it does. That is my definition of truth. So how could you know definitively that what I said was true? The only real way to find the truth is you have to see for yourself. Take the knife from me and attempt to rid your digits of their blanket. You can also challenge it. Prove it to me. That is all it takes to ensure you aren't being led astray, or maybe even leading others astray. This is an important concept to grasp, one I struggle with today, yesterday, and every day. I was blessed with an awakening, and there is no other word or description for it. It was the first thing I said after, as it was literally in a split second, everything made sense. I was awake. This idyllic childhood that I've praised and held on to, the happy memories and stories, the holidays, trips, summers, barbecues, I had realized in an instant. It was all a mirage. A blanket, a spell, a delusion. The wool had been torn from my eyes in a moment. Told my entire life that there was nothing wrong with me. It was only my behavior. I was rammy, messy, a handful, a bad kid, a pain in the ass. I'm sure you can imagine the rest, as I'm assuming this probably isn't the first time you've heard statements like this. It was that day I knew what was true, but also that now I knew absolutely nothing. I had based my life off false ideals, the wrong advice, fuel, and habits. I was already in the steps of my career evaporating because I didn't have the solid foundation I thought I was standing on. My PTSD had me struggling. I had given up alcohol already, so my meds didn't do weird things. Therapy multiple times a week, and the backs of those who had put me here, helped me get here. They had popped smoke and disappeared. I had become their worst fear. Broken. No more tools to help, no more parts, no more oil, just smoke and darkness. Wandering in the forest alone at night in the worst thunderstorm you could imagine. How had I gotten here? How did this become my life? Luckily, I had begun to be truly honest with myself. Let myself actually understand my life to some extent. I had an appointment with a new doctor in the city. I didn't care how this numpty could be able to help me, yet he did. We chatted. He had read my paperwork, not sure what it says, but who cares? At the end, I think it might have been the middle, but I'm not sure, he asked me, "What if I told you I think I can change your life?" I'm unable to remember my exact response, but go for it, with a laugh. At this point, I'd given up entire hope. I was willing to do damn near anything for that glimpse of hope. He said something like, "There are no guarantees, but I've seen this work. Reach out if you feel necessary in the next 2 weeks. Definitely, though, by this date," which would have been 14 days later, or he would reach out to me. Now, day 2 or 3 with a new mix. I'm sitting in my garage, much like I am right now, sharpening my axe or gathering my tools. Dark, dank, cold, lights were off. I walked outside. I looked at my backyard and was subsequently hit by a dump truck. That fucker came out of nowhere. How did I not see him before? The world had changed in that instant. Colors were more vibrant than I had ever seen. Sounds I was unable to hear before, and time itself had slowed down. The ADHD medication had taken effect. That is when I realized the myth. I had it. The hundreds of times I had stood and denied because my parents don't lie. Fuck. Now that little voice in my head I could hear again. At first, dismissed, not being able to recognize the good one or the bad one. Jiminy Cricket was loud and clear, though. I just had to be willing to listen. How many times has that voice told you to take another drink, have another smoke, hit another line, tell you one more and it'll be okay? That devil on your shoulder, the real liar that had been so reliable for so long. Why stop now? The other one, though, we've always dismissed, scoffed away those, "Hey, let's leave now," or "Maybe we should stay home tonight." Hey, don't throw out that Ziploc bag. You never know when you'll need one. My least favorite one, however, though, let's not do that or this again tomorrow. Bring, beep, beep. Hello, Doolies and the whole gang will be there? Hell yeah. Meet at Jim's first? See you at 7. All aboard that same pain train as yesterday. Now for the story portion. My job had me flying all over the country, rescuing people from the school bus in the sky, or as I like to call it, the Thunder Chicken. I had flown to the limits of our gas to pull guys off boats, searched all night aboard this cormorant, searching for missing fishermen, swimmers, and kayakers. The highest an aircraft mechanic could ever hope to get, delivering cheesies to those in need and then fixing what had broken after. This time it was a training mission, 7 days, Sunday to Saturday, in Sagluk, Labrador, a desolate old radar base, the edge of a 1,000-foot cliff to the ocean, barren, empty, and beautiful. Only few had ever been here, and I was honored. That little voice, though, on the way up, had been screaming at me. Something wasn't feeling right. I felt more and more unwelcome the further north we went. I hadn't learned to listen yet again. So, like so many of us in uniform do over and over, rewarded for and trained for, I sucked it up, I shut it up, and I kept going. That was fear and weakness talking. Ain't nobody got time for that. We get there and the things began. Fuel drums aren't tested. Pumps aren't working. Out comes World War II stroke diesel pump. It went on, but we were here for a mission, a purpose, so that others may live when we are called. September 14th, 2020, we got there. The 15th, training began. We were to practice mountain landings. perching ourselves on the edges of mountains so we can save fuel on a mission. Today, just practice. A couple of hiccups, but that's why we practice. We worked ourselves up to a 4,000-foot peak, found our target, and began our sequence. I won't go into the fine details of sequences, but I'll try to give you a picture anyways. Normally, my job was to sit, stand, and kneel happily in my door. I can see everything and guide the bird where we need to be. This time, however, we go in the opposite. We go the left side to the cliff. Not uncommon, and in fact, this is a perfect time to practice. I hand the con over to the Sartec, and he begins to guide us on target. Co-pilot's job is to watch and call torques, pressures, temperatures, etc. Babysit the captain or the head and veteran pilot. I hear 70% torque, 75, 80% torque, 85%, or 80% torque, 85%, watch your torque, 87, 89, 90, 91, watch your torque, 93, 95, 97. From here, it's all blur. The helicopter warning system fires up. Rotor, 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 rotor. Essentially, this means that the 9,000 plus horsepower we have is no longer enough to keep the blades turning and our bird in the air. Which also means we become a rock. Captain says I've got this and wrenches the helicopter towards the mountain. Sartec, we're clear on the left 10 feet above the edge. We should, by this point, be at least 100, if not 50 feet above the cliff, with the hopes of descending down onto it. At this point, though, I'm now on my stomach, trying to crawl out on my harness enough to see underneath the belly. All I can smell is jet fuel. All I can see is a glacier 1,000 feet below me, and nothing else but rock. I see the edge now. We aren't 10 feet, maybe 10 inches from the ground. My heart stops. The tail rotor usually is nearly level with the tires in a hover. I look back and watch it clear the cliff by, my best guess is 4 inches. Still, 10 feet on my side, I hear. I manage to stay steady down, 10 inches on my side. That is a huge difference. We're going to have to maintain power to stop rolling. Problem is, we're all out of power. I now feel the landing gear slam into the mountain, bounce, slide, rock, but finally settle. I'm not sure how long we were there or how long it took in total. It feels still like hours. No noise but the static of the radio in my helmet and the scream of the engines. I can still taste the exhaust, and I'm already shaking at this point. I look up, and my supervisor is green, frozen, years in the mountains on these things, yet unable to speak. I try to put on a strong face, knowing there is only one way home. Let's get the fuck out of here. I don't know what mountain it was. I didn't care to look. I'm sure I died that day, though, because it is the only thing that continues to make any sense. We land, put the bird to bed, and head for the base. This illusion of safety in a desolate wasteland now. On the way up, my buddy looks at me, and now I can see he is shaking, face not back to full color yet. I can't tell you how I look, though. That is and was the single scariest fucking landing I've ever had, he says. For fuck's sakes. Now I know I wasn't wrong in my feelings. Now the question is, though, how can I wake up and do this again tomorrow? Did I mention no booze? It's a dry camp. The only thing now I have to help me is me. We played cards that night, and slowly everyone started asking each other what exactly had gone on. We soon realized that we'd all been shaken. Bedtime comes, shower time. Panic starts. My mind's racing, replaying every instant over and over and over and over again. I can't call out. There's only one phone line, and no one to talk to. We're all fucked. I had stopped any spirituality for the most part at this point. I had sworn off at church, said grace from time to time, and maybe my prayers before bed if I remembered. Tonight, though, I could hardly stand up. I didn't need to do anything but hold my toothbrush at my teeth because the shaking would take care of the rest. I mean, it was absolutely no effort to brush my teeth that night for the first time in my life. I damn near crawled back to my bunk, though, folded my hands, bowed my head, and did the only thing that felt right in that moment. That little voice in my head was whispering, "You can't do this alone. Not again. Ask for help." So I began. I said, "I'm not sure who's out there or what you are, if you can hear me, or if you even care. I know I've turned my back on you. I'm not sure of anything at this point, but I do know that I'm no longer strong enough to do this. Not tomorrow. Maybe the next day. I know not to ask for proofs or miracles. I don't think I can fly tomorrow, though. If there's anything you could possibly do for me, I don't know how to repay you. I won't be offended or angry if you choose not to. And at the very least, please grant me the courage to face my fears and show myself I wasn't in the danger that I feel right now." So on until I guess I fell asleep. Nightmares racked me, cold sweats, not sure how much sleep I had actually gotten. Sunrise, alarm goes off. Shaking hasn't gone, though. Normally I make my bed, brush my teeth, put on my uniform, grab my gear, and head for breakfast, ready to take on the day. But not this day. I barely mustered the strength to get my clothes on, telling myself it would be okay either way. At breakfast, only the pilots had their uniform on for my memory, and that is also not the way usually. Breakfast downrange, briefing, go over procedures and how to make today successful and our goals as a crew. Uniform time, boots, gear, let's go. We began bouncing down the mountain to the runway. My buddy and I chatted about how to make sure that didn't happen again. As we got closer, I can start to see the chopper, alone on the ramp, waiting. About 100 meters away now. Deep breath. It's crunch time. Hero 0 today. A wind gust whips up the ramp and I catch movement. I dismiss it for a tie down coming loose. Normal stuff. It isn't that though. There's a panel dangling down the nose, flapping in the wind. What the fuck? The door is covered in oily smears. Still closer now. Now a window is gone. Now there's 2 windows gone. No way. We're broken. We're hard down. Windows we could fly without. That panel though, that's a no-go over water. We are over the freezing North Atlantic, and that panel is the only thing that keeps our life raft in place. Massive paw prints on the side of the bird, windows, and my door. As I look at where the oil had come from, a little sparkle caught my eye. Where the nozzle of the fuel pump had drained the night before, it had softened some of the tar on the runway. In that puddle, a little tiny tuft of polar bear hair was stuck. If only I had something to put it in. I reached down, crinkle in my pocket. No way. No fly that day. Whew. The Hercules from Greenwood was supposed to bring us parts the next morning. Shit. Clear forecast, and they don't stop for much. Almost a guaranteed delivery. September 16th, 20 minutes before arrival, the ceiling suddenly plummets. If they can't see the mountains, how can they avoid a collision? Aborted. 1.5 days no fly, 1.5 days till home. Same day next shot. Forecast clear, sky empty. Half an hour before their arrival, snow and wind whip out of nowhere. Can't see, can't drop. 2 days, no fly. 1 day until home. Reality is now trembling. There's no sense to be made, just ride the wave. Now the parts are in Goose Bay to be flown up by a Griffin, and chances are parts will be here for an afternoon mission. Half hour-ish before arrival, radio call comes in. We've encountered icing, heading home to try again this afternoon. 2.5 days no fly, half a day until home. This time they find icing again, but can wait it out, so they can get here. Parts show up around 2:30ish in the afternoon, I think. That means no afternoon flight, and it took us until 7 o'clock to get us all fixed that night. 3 days no fly, we're going home tomorrow. Now the flight home was 16 hours total crew day. No issues, just confusion. How could that have been possible? Were my prayers answered? Wild coincidence. I can't say for sure, but the chills that run up and down my spine as I tell the story tell me that they were answered. In my understanding, a miracle had occurred. I was at my lowest. I was terrified, convulsing in fear and panic. Instead of trying to fight it, though, I did the only thing I thought I could. I gave in. I surrendered. I admitted I was no longer strong enough and asked for help, but didn't expect it. I had faith something might work out, though. Now, is this story true? You have absolutely no reason to believe me, as a lot of the story is just that, beyond belief. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and trustworthy doesn't follow those words very often. So take what you will, believe what you choose. I know what's absolutely true, though. P.S. I've looked back, and I've realized that the helicopter we were flying on that day was registered CH-149-911. We had been 911 for so many others. I just had to be willing to dial out myself that day. And, yeah, it's got the hand shaking. It was a little stumbly there. Tried to reread it as many times as I could to make it smooth, but I find I struggle when it's emotionally difficult to read sometimes, so you're going to have to deal with it. But in this bag is my proof, I guess, of a miracle. My testimony, we'll say. It was a total freak accident that I happened to have that in my hand. It was in my pocket and literally had a word one mission that I needed to keep a Ziploc bag on hand for whatever reason. And this is the reason. If I didn't have that in my pocket, I would have had zero way to gather this polar bear hair. And I wouldn't have, I guess, my proof. I wouldn't have my key to my story and my reminder that there's things in this world that we can't make sense of. And I think that's a very important piece to hold on to, that we can't be sure of anything, really. We have to have faith, and that is why it is so important. We have to have a belief in something greater than us, because without that, where can you go? Who do you ask for help? In that moment, there's no roads where we were. The only way to get there is by boat or plane. I think there's no permanent residents of the radar base, maybe 3 or 4 guys at any given time. Who do you call? No cell phones, no sat phones. There was one hard landline that we used, and we could each steal a few minutes a day. No doctors, no anybody. The only person I had to talk to at the time was my instructor, who we've talked many times after and since. And we were both totally rattled. How do you help yourself? So that was my solution to my problem, and I still ask for help every day. I don't have the answers. I'm not supposed to. I have been helped through things that there's no reason for me to have been helped through. That mission being one of them. I have other testimonies and stories that I have through my life that I can share when the time is right. And the only conclusion I can draw from any of it and from all of it at the same time is that there is somebody, call them what you want, but God is my word for it. And always there for you. Doesn't matter what, right? In your time of need, he's there for you. Yeah, so I'll leave it with that message tonight, and we'll see what happens. Maybe my world collapses after I post this. Maybe everything gets better. But all I know is one thing: it won't be the same, but it's going to be okay.